So once again, good morning everyone, and welcome to the Web Technology Workshop, a one-week workshop we are starting today. Now this is just the starting of your semester 4, and as we believe that web technology is a must for everyone in this field, let's go through some basic technologies of web here in this entire workshop, and let's learn HTML, CSS, JavaScript technologies so that we will be in a position to build some web pages, and we will be able to create some static websites, interactive websites, or even presentations. So what we plan is for 2 days, we'll be spending on HTML, which is hypertext markup language. The next 2 days, we'll be spending on CSS, which is cascading style sheet. And after that, 2 more days, we will be spending on JavaScript. And that's what the plan we have built. So we'll be starting with basic HTML today. What is HTML? What will be the page structure of HTML? How do we write all those things, and where do we check whether everything works properly or not? And as long as it is just a web page, we can see that on the browser. There won't be any extra software need, so you can use any normal text editor and you can check your output on the browser, whether it is Chrome, Mozilla, Opera, Safari, any browser, you can test your page. So for today, what I'll do is I'll show you the entire session on normal text editor, and from tomorrow onwards I'll explain few other text editors which you can use, and that will help you in your productivity also, right? So that's one thing. HTML is just a markup language, hypertext markup language. So it is just going to mark your content, whatever you want to display on the page. CSS is a cascading style sheet. So style sheet, it will change the look and feel of your content. So using CSS, you can change the look and feel of your content. You can rearrange your content and so on. So that's what CSS is all about. And JavaScript is a script code which you can write to have interactivity with end user on your page. You can have some animations, you can have event based writing or event based activities to have interactivity with end user. You can also write JavaScript for some kind of validations and all those things. So these are the main 3 technologies we are going to cover here. On the last day of this entire workshop, I'll show you some plugins, JavaScript plugins, which you can directly use in your page, and you can create very nice looking presentations or other web app kind of things, right? So let's start with the first one, HTML. Now, as I said, I'm going to show you the code of HTML with the very basic text editor today. Now you can use normal Notepad, or you can use Notepad++ like this one. Now this is a very basic text editor. You can use any other text editors, and tomorrow I'm going to show you few more text editors like VS Code, Atom, Bracket, and all those things. But today let's start with the normal text. Look, if I write anything here, let's say this is semester 4, right? And let us save this one in a particular location on our drive. Let's say I have on my desktop, I have one workshop folder, and we will be working on day-wise folder. So let's say this is day 1, and inside that, let me have this thing as index. And first thing first, your HTML code should be your HTML code file should have HTML extension. So HTML or HTM only, it's okay. So what we do is we write index.html, right? Now if I open that file, let's say if I go to day 1, and this is what the file we have created just now, and let's open this file in a browser. Particular browser I'm going for right now is a Chrome. Then this is what happens. This is the result of that HTML file. So whatever we write in that file, we can see that code here, right? Now this is a normal text, nothing else. A very basic normal text, but we cannot manipulate or we cannot mark this text right now because this is normal text. Now what HTML says that using HTML you can mark your text, but for that you need to follow the HTML file structure. And the very first point we are going to learn here is the HTML file structure. Now as you know that browser is going to send a request to server, and server will send this HTML file as a response. So when we are communicating over the internet, we must tell our browser and internet that what kind of file we are transferring right now. Now for browser, let us define this is an HTML file. So we are defining a document type here, and the very first line in your HTML code will be doc type, and we'll be using HTML version 5. So we only say HTML and done. Okay, so this is how we define doc type in our document. Fine. Yeah, it's continuing. Sorry. So this is how we define our file doc type, and only HTML will define it is version 5. Somewhere you will see that HTML and then W3C entire URL and then DTD file, right? So that's HTML version 4 or so, and document type definition requires when you go for HTML version 4 or lesser than that. So we'll be using latest version HTML5 and all its tags and all those things, right? Now look, when you define this thing, very first line doc type, this is not HTML tag, this is just a definition of document right now. HTML tag will start from this one. Okay, now how do we write HTML tags? So all the tags in HTML will start with less than sign, then you define your tag, whatever tag you want to use, and then you complete your tag using greater than sign. Yeah, so that's how we start a tag. Now in HTML, many of the tags are paired tag and some of the tags are singular tags. I'll tell you what are the singular and paired tags. All the paired tags must need a closing tag also, which we define using slash and then tag name. So less than sign, then slash, and then the tag name and greater than sign. So this is what the pair you define. This is a starting tag and this one is the ending tag. Okay, so paired tag will require starting as well as ending tag to work properly. And your HTML file will have a root tag HTML. This will be your root tag. Everything will be in between that tag. Now even this root tag, inside that you will have two sections. One will be the head section, and we define it with head tag. Now this is a starting tag, so I need to complete that also, ending tag. So there will be head section, and this another section will be the body section. Starting body and then ending body. Okay. You follow the coding conventions, like whatever is inside, we have tab, we have indentation everywhere. So we can look that, okay, this is what the root is. Inside that we have this much content. Inside my body I have this content. So here I'll go for the two tabs, indentation process, and so on, right? So HTML is the root, then we have head section, and we have a body section. Now everything that you want to display, okay, everything that you want to display on your page should go inside your body section. Then this head section is something where you define the metadata of your entire page. So you will find a title there, okay. So we can have a title. And what is the title? Then the title is something that will be displayed on the browser title bar here, like this AWP or something. We have index.html. So if there is no title, then file name is being displayed here. But when I define this title will be showed on this one. So let's say this is Day1. So this title is Day1. And all other metadata we'll see later on, meta tags and everything. So right now, let's keep this file very simple one. We have a head section where we define title, and we have a body section where we define our content to be displayed. And let us save this file now. If I go back to my browser and refresh this page, then this is what happens. On the title, now I have Day1. And this is what the text I have written in the body part. If I see the source code, then I'll look at the entire source code here. Whatever we have written, it will be showed here. But once we have this file structure, now this is what the HTML file structure, then inside our body we can mark, okay, we can mark our all the content. So let's say when I want to mark something, then let's go to our code back, and let me mark this as a heading tag. So this is my heading, and to define it, what I'm doing is I'm writing h1 tag here. Now this is the initial tags we are looking. Look, HTML is a tag, head is a tag, title is a tag, body is a tag, h1 is a tag. So all these are tags in HTML. Using tag, actually you mark your content. Now when I say this is h1, then it has some default behavior. It has a default behavior, right? So let us save this file and see what happens when we refresh this page now. And this is what happens. If it's a heading, then it will be displayed with a larger text size and a bolder text. Now let me have everything side by side. Okay, so we can work in a side by side, and we can see what is the effect when we write something here, right? Now if I want to have some paragraph or something, for that we can have a lorem ipsum text, Lorem ipsum text is nothing but oh, it's simply a dummy text which we can display anywhere, right? So let's find a dummy text, and we have a paragraph here. Fine. So if you want to display a paragraph, then what you do is you use p tag, starting and then ending, and in between you can write any paragraph or any text that you want. So let's say I want to have this paragraph a simple text, and that's it. So when we save this code, and if we go to our page, let's reload, and this is what the effect we find. So we have a heading h1 and we have a paragraph, and because of these tags h1 and p, we have the effect on the browser page. So this is what HTML is for. You mark your content, and based on your marks, based on the tags, browser is going to render your content, and it is going to display your content accordingly. So in HTML, what we need to learn is we need to learn this kind of different tags. That's what the need is when we are learning HTML. So we are going to have a look at number of HTML tags today, which will be helpful to mark our content, and which will be helpful to define what kind of content we have here, right? So we'll start with the very basic tags first, which will be needed for the formatting of our text, and later on we will be moving towards some other tags, structural content tags and all those things, right? So the very first thing comes to our mind, if we have heading 1, then do we have other headings? Yes, we do have few more headings. Okay, so let's list out few more headings here. We have heading 1, now this is heading 1. We do have few more headings, and we can have heading 2, 3, 4, 5, and we may go up to 6. Let me show you, there is nothing like heading 7 also. Fine. So how do we do that? For that we have h2 tag. So do not forget to update your ending tag also. Make sure that when you are using paired tags, then you properly have starting and ending tag. Fine. So if I go for heading 3, then I should update at the end also. And similarly, let's go for 5, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Now there is nothing like h7, but just to show you that thing, let's have that thing here, right? So when we save this thing, and if we refresh this page, then this is what the effect of all those heading tags. Heading 1 is the most important thing, and it defines its importance using size and boldness. Then we have heading 2, heading 3, heading 4, heading 5, and heading 6. All the headings are bolder text, but they differ in the size of the text, the largest size and the smallest size. And there is nothing like heading 7. So if you use h7, then browser does not know what is h7, and that's why browser is simply going to render that thing just like a normal text, your normal paragraph text. Okay, so we can say there is nothing like heading 7. So that these are few heading tags. Okay, now when you write something on your page, for example, you are writing an entire article, then you need some kind of heading text there, because your article must have a main heading. Okay, so your main heading H1 can be there, and then you write your entire article, and in that you have some sub portions. So those sub portion, if those sub portions are having some kind of titles, then you may go for either H2 or H3 and so on. Now once we have few tags here, what we'll do is we will create our CV kind of a page, resume kind of a page, and then you'll come to know more how we can use these tags here. So we have some heading tag, we have some divider, or if let's say if you want to create some kind of a division here in between this paragraph heading and other section, then you can have horizontal rule. So there is HR tag, simple HR, it is horizontal rule. And HR tag is a singular tag, it does not require /HR. So as I said, there are multiple paired tags and there are some singular tags. So if I save this file and then refresh this one, then you will see this horizontal line which creates some kind of a partition, division here, right? So that's the horizontal rule, HR. We'll also see few more look and feel settings here, but let us understand few tags. Now when I say we have something like H1 starting and ending here, or H4 starting at this place and ending at this place, then from starting to ending, this entire part is called one element. It is called one HTML element. So we have this HTML element, we have another HTML element, we have one more HTML element. So what is HTML element? An element which covers the starting tag, your content, as well as the ending tag. So in other words, HTML element is something which covers starting as well as corresponding ending tag and everything in between. That will be called HTML element. Element can have few attributes, and we'll see few attributes later. Let's cover few tags before that. So we have seen heading tags, we have seen paragraph tag. Now let us see few more tags related to, let's say, if I want to go for, or if I want to have some text that is a bold. I don't want to increase the size, I just want to make it a bold. So let's say this is inside bold tag. So we have a B tag, okay, which will create a bolder text. So if I refresh this page, then we have that this is inside bold tag, right? So its font size is the same, no increase in font size, but we just create this as a bold, and it is inline, it is not creating new line, which means H1 to H6, all these tags or elements, now we can say all these elements are having their own space. New element will be starting from the new line, but this B tag, B element, is inline element, so it is not starting from the new line, it is continuing in the same line, inline, right? Now if you want to have something in a new line, then we can have BR tag. BR is, you can say break or you can say branch, whatever you want to call it, but it creates a new line. So before this thing, what I'm doing is I define BR tag, so it will create a new line at this place. Okay, so let's save this file and refresh this thing, and it creates a new line here. So wherever we want to have a new line, we can use br tag. Now let's quickly go for a few more tags. There is a strong tag also. Okay, bold tag and strong tag behavior is very much same. Both are simply creating a bolder text, right? So with newer version of HTMLs and a semantic meaning, there are new tags introduced, and so we can say instead of going for B tag, we should go for strong tag because it has a semantic meaning. It has a strong um, effect of this thing, right? Now both these are inline, so you can use this thing anywhere in between your paragraph also. So if I want to have this lorem ipsum word bold only, then I can have a strong tag starting from lorem, and after ipsum I can complete my strong tag. So when I refresh this page, we'll have that thing bold only. Okay, lorem ipsum is strong, entire remaining text is with the normal thing. So wherever we want to use this kind of behavioral change, we can use those tags. Now very quickly going through, let's say we have I tag also, and the very similar tag we have em tag. Okay, this is italic text. Em is emphasized, behavior is same. Okay, behavior of both things will be same. Both things will be italic, but one is italic and one is emphasized. So if you want to have some more emphasize, if you want to emphasize this text, you can use em tag. Then there is a mark tag. So if you want to mark up kind of a marker, right? You highlighter kind of thing. So it is going to mark that thing with a yellow highlighting background. So that's a mark tag. Then we have some, let's say if you want to display some deleted text, then you have del tag. Okay, so it is going to strike out your content. This is deleted text. So deleted text is going to be strike out, creating a new line just to have a look at that deleted text, right? If you want to have inserted text, then you have ins tag. It is going to create your text with underline. Okay, so that will create your text with underline. So it's inserted text. P tag we have already seen. Then there are a few, let's say there is a code tag. If you want to display your code, for example, let's say var I and print I. So this is something text, but it is a code, not a normal text. So the code tag has a normal or default behavior where it is going to change the font of your text. It is going to display the text in a Verdana font. So it looks something like code. Font size will be same. Now one more thing, if you can see here, I have a new line after var I semicolon. I have a new line here. But on my browser, I don't have that new line, right? So browser is going to neglect all these unnecessary spaces. So that will happen here also. If I, in my paragraph, if I create few more lines like this way by just pressing enter anywhere, right? Then it is not going to create these new lines on the browser page. It is just going to display your paragraph as it is. So browser will always neglect this new line character, okay, and even few more unnecessary spaces. If I create more spaces here, then also when I refresh this page, it won't have any effect on the result. So it will also neglect this unnecessary spaces. Now, if you want to have, or if you want to display your text as you write in your file, then you have pre-tag. Okay, so you enclose everything in between pre-tag. So I start pre-tag here, and then I'll end that pre-tag at this place. So in between my pre-tag, I'm using my code tag, and then I'm using this thing. So pre-tag is a pre-formatted text. So when I say I'm writing a pre-formatted text, it is going to consider all these new line characters, all these tabs and spaces and everything. So if we save this file and we refresh our code, then this is how we have new line. But remember, I also said all these tab. So we have 3 tab before this var variable declaration. So you will have 3 tabs at this place also, right? So make sure that if you are using pre-tag, then you write your code properly in the file. Let me remove all those unnecessary tabs. And now if I refresh this page, I'll have my thing here. There are a few more tags. Let's say if you want to define a variable, then I is a variable. So we can use var tag, which says this is a variable, and the default behavior for the variable tag, it is going to make it italic. So it becomes italic font. So there is a var tag, we have seen code tag, we have seen pre-formatted text. Few more tags let's cover. There is a block quote. Block quote tag. So it requires starting as well as ending, right? And in between, whatever you will write, it's kind of a quote given by a very known person, let's say something like that. So let's say this is block quote by person. Okay, so if we look at the result, it is going to have a default indentation here, normal text but with some indentation. So it defines this as a quote. It's a known paragraph, or let's say saying quote. So that's what the behavior, as well as it has a semantic meaning. This is a quote, right? So when you write some well-known quote, you should write in a block quote tag. It has a meaning also. Then there is a abbreviation tag also, that is ABBR, starting and ending. So if you have something like MEF, then you can have its full form abbreviation with title attribute. So now we are moving towards considering some attributes. So ABBR is a tag, starting ABBR, ending ABBR, and everything in between. its element. An element in your HTML can have few attributes also. We define attributes in a starting tag always. Okay, all your attributes must be written with your starting tag. And where in the starting tag? So less than sign, then your tag name, and then all your attributes. And once you are done with your attribute, you will have a greater than sign. So that's where we define our attributes. Now this is one attribute. Title is the attribute. So it will be having key and value pair, attribute name and attribute value pair. So attribute name is title equals to sign, and then in a double quote you define the value of that attribute. So we say what is the full form of MEF, so we write it here, Marwari Education Foundation, let's say. So let us save this file and have a look at what happens. So we write MEF only, but as long as it is inside abbreviation tag, it has a dotted underline here. So it has a something title, and when your cursor hovers on that text, you will have that full form title on the page. So this is the abbreviation of Marwari Education Foundation, and that full title will be displayed when your cursor hovers, when your cursor moves on that element. Okay, so that is something like wherever you have some short forms, you can define full form of those things as with ABBR. Even there is a acronym tag with the same behavior. Okay, you can define acronym, and it will have the same behavior. Okay, same thing, no change, right? So that's something which we can cover here. One more tag that we want to have is address tag. So it defines the address of whatever you want to display there. Now it has only the semantic meaning. This is something, an address. So we say MEF campus. Then I want to have a new line, and in the next line I want to have, let's say, Rajkot Morbi Road. So it's going to define the address thing here, right? So we have MEF campus, Rajkot Morbi Road. But when you define it's the address, it is going to be displayed as a emphasized or italic text, and it defines it's the address. Now address tag helps the search engines, okay, to identify that this is the address, this is where your company is located. So search engines like Google, Bing, and others will crawl your website and find your address. So whenever someone search in a Google, then they will also prompt this is what the address is. Okay, so that's what happens if we use address tag. And then we want to have a look at few structural tags like div, okay, div and a span. Okay, div is a division. You want to create a division, structural division in your page, and span is again an element, but it is inline element. Okay, so it is also going to create a virtual division. Now, whatever you have in a division, let's say if I have a paragraph or anything inside my division, then it is going to be displayed on the page. It will simply display the normal text on the page. Okay. This first line is a division, and the second line is in the span. But division, now if I create a new div inside this div, we can nest anything that we want. Make sure that you are nesting it properly. Okay. So if I create a nested div inside this div, and what it contains, but also the leap into, this is the text inside this div, then what happens is div will create its own space. Okay. Now if you want to have a look at that thing, then right click on your page and go for inspect. All latest browsers are having this inspection developer option. So you click on inspect and you will have something like this inspection panel. Let me change the placement of this panel to be downward, and this is where you can look at your entire code. And on the right side you will have CSS code, which we will see after 2 days. So when you hover on particular elements, it will highlight that element on the browser where it is, right? So if I want to inspect this thing, then right click on this and then inspect. It will directly, right click on this and inspect. It will directly lead you to its content or the code. So this is where the div we have. And when I hover my cursor on this code, it is also highlighting that element on my page. And you can see that the highlighted portion is the entire width. Okay. So div is always going to have its own space, full width. Whereas span, as you can see right now, span only covers the area where your content is being displayed. That much area only, no entire width. Okay. So that's one thing, div and span. Now, other than this, div as well as span does not have its own look and feel behavior. It displays the normal content, but this div and span are used on a larger basis when we go for CSS. Okay, we'll create these virtual divisions in our page, and using CSS we will be manipulating these elements. So at that time you will see these tags more, but that's something that we will require later on. Okay, so that's one more tag, div. Another tag is span. So these are few basic text formatting tags. Before we move to other tags, let's cover few attributes. Just like the title attribute we have seen using abbreviation or acronym, there are few more attributes which will work with text. So let's say on this heading 2, I want to have alignment. So there is align attribute. Default alignment is on the left side, but we can align our text to center, or we can align our text on the right side using align attribute and giving it a value like center or right. So when I refresh this page, this is a center aligned and this one is the right aligned text. Okay. Well, so that's one more attribute we can use to align our text. Um, there are a few more attributes, but those are deprecated. Even align attribute is also, we can say, we need not to go for align attribute, but when we use CSS, from CSS we should align. There is a few more attributes here, like there is a BG color attribute, which is going to define a background color. Um, let's say I define blue, and my entire page will have a blue background color, right? So if you want to define some background, look, this BG color, it's not supported with all the tags. So if you say that I want to have a background color of my heading 5 only, then that should not happen. With your heading 5, there is no background blue color. So these attributes are supported by limited tags. So if that tag supports this attribute, then you will see the effect. Otherwise, there won't be any effect. And as I said, BG color is again a deprecated attribute. We should not use it. For background color and all those things, we should go for CSS, which we will later see. So that's one attribute align. And then once we go for image tag, anchor tag, and all those things, we will see there are number of attributes needed. But right now, what we need to understand is how we write attributes. So we'll have attribute name, then equals to sign, and in a double quote, we will have attribute value, right? So now, let's say that we want to have one image. We want to load an image on our page. On the topmost place, I want to load Marwari University logo, for example. So we can do that thing using img tag. Now this is a singular tag, so there is no need of having /img. Okay. So we have only img tag. Now this img tag will have an attribute. One required attribute is source, src. It defines the source of your file, where you have your image file. And it can have alt, alternate text attribute. So if browser or server does not find this file, then it is going to display this alternate text. So an img tag has two attributes, source and alternate text, src and alt. Now this source text, source attribute can have a value which defines the let's say, I need to find out the image, or let's Google. It requires the image path, where your image is. Okay. So let's say this is what the image I have, that I'm going to have that image. So I want to load this image in my page, and if that image is somewhere on the internet openly available, then what you can do is you can have this entire URL. So you can have this entire URL, and you can paste that entire URL as a source. So src equals to entire URL, http:// your domain / subfolders and wherever you find that file. So you can have that thing. So if I save this file, and when we refresh, reload this page, we have that Google logo. So if that image is somewhere on the internet and you want to load that image on your page, you need to have your entire URL. Now that's one thing. Another way, let's say we have our image locally available in our folder. So where we are working right now, we are working at this place. In my workshop folder, I have day1, and inside day1, I have this index file, for example. Okay. And what I want is I want to have one or few more images at this place. Let me bring few more images from this place. So let's have few more images in the day1 folder. Now day1 is the root folder for our project. Now inside that project we have images folder, and inside images folder we have number of images available. So what we do is we define a relative path here. Currently I'm working in index.html file, and it is there at this place. Now relative to this, if I want to access my image, then it is in the images folder. So first I will define images folder, then slash. So I'll go inside, and then I'll say, okay, I want this mu logo, and that is PNG file. So img source will also require extension. So we say that mu hyphen logo dot png. Proper extension, remember it is not a type of image, it is the file extension. So make sure that jpeg file, does that file have jpg extension or jpeg extension? Fine. And alternate text, we say that this is mu logo, and let us save this one. So this is how we define relative path. Okay, relative path relative to this current index HTML file, we are going to logo file. And when I save that thing and refresh this page, we have that logo at this place. And if I do not define proper file name, then definitely my browser is not going to find this file, and in that case it will give me the alternate text here. Okay, so we have mu logo alternate text, breaking icon, image break icon, and then your alternate text here. Fine. So that's how we load our images on the page. Now for example, let me load one more image here, and that image is in the same images folder. Yeah, we have, let's say, mu fest bg, and that is jpg file. Okay, so let's say we want to have that mu fest bg and then extension jpg file. Let us save this thing and reload our page. So we'll have that entire image here. So when we load an image using img tag, it is going to load that image in the original size, right? It's going to load that thing in the original size. Now from HTML only, if you want to handle the size, you can have width attribute, and you can define a width, let's say 300 pixel, 300px, and you refresh your page, and this is what the 300 pixel width image you have. And now by looking at this example, we can say, okay, img or image is not a block level element, it is still inline element. Okay, so second image is being displayed on the right side of first image. It is not going to be displayed on the next line, new line. So if your image has enough space, then it will be inline, otherwise it will go for the new line. But that's how we can handle width. Even we can handle the height. So if I say 300 pixel height also, then it is going to have 300 pixel width and 300 pixel height, but that will actually disturb the aspect ratio of my image, right? It will change the aspect ratio. So this is what we should not go for, width and height both at the same time. We should only address any one, either width or the height, and the other dimension will be handled by the browser itself. So aspect ratio will be maintained properly. So that's something, width attribute and the value. Now here we can also go for percentage. Instead of a pixel, let's say I say 50% of the width. Then I can define that 50% like this way. Now if I increase the width of my page, then size of the image will also be increased. Okay. And if I decrease the width of my page, then size of the image will also be decreased depending on the percentage, right? So that's what the percentage width you can also use. Now that is the percentage of your entire browser width. 50%, 10%, 80%, 90%, 100% will be the full width, and so on. So in terms of size, you may go for percentage or the static pixels, right? Well, so that's the img tag. Now we do have few more semantic tags in HTML5, like header tag. So if I say that this logo, image, and this title and paragraph, everything is there within my header, then let's keep this horizontal rule inside header. Then whatever this content is the main content for me. So I'll start, this much part is inside header. Then starting from this h1, everything up to end is there in the main tag. So I'm completing my main tag at this place. And I also do have some footer content, right? So these are a few semantic tags. Okay, these are few semantic tags which we can use to just mark up. Now it will not have any behavioral change on your page. So if I refresh this page now, there is no change on the look and feel of your entire page, right? But these are few markup tags, and it has a semantic meaning. So this is my header, this is the main content, and this is the footer. And when I write this footer, it is going to display that thing at the end here. Now it is at the end, not because of footer, but it is at the end of my code. Okay, remember, footer does not have any behavioral aspect. Where we write is where it is being displayed. That's it. So these are a few HTML5 tags. Now within your main content, you can have some sections. So let's say I define, this is my one section where I write all the heading tags, and here I complete my section. So that creates one section. Still no change in the browser. Okay, refresh and no change here. But it's kind of a structurization of your content, how you structurize your content. So all headings are in one section, then all other tags are in a other section. You can create few more sections like this way. So those are few section tags. Now just to digest all the things that we have seen till now, let us quickly revise, and we'll have a very few minutes break to freshen up ourselves. So we have seen some formatting tags, h1 to h6, then paragraph tag, bold and strong, italic, em, marker tag, inserted, deleted text. So there is a del ins tag. There is pre-formatted text, so pre tag. There is a code, var tag, block quote, acronyms or abbreviation, address tag, div and span. We will be using these two more when we start CSS, and few semantic tags like main, footer, section, header, all those things. We have seen number of attributes like align attribute, source attribute, alternate attribute, and we have also loaded few images on our browser. Now these are the tags which will be needed when you want to display something on the page, right? And this is how we mark our content. So after a very short break, we are going to create our CV page with whatever we have seen here, right? So let's have a very short break, and let's let's freshen up ourselves, and with a fresh mind again, let us create a curriculum vitae or resume page. That will be also your take home activity today, right? So I'll show you how we can create, and then you bring your creativity how you are going to display your content on the page. But for that, I'm going to show you one page created here. So let's have 5 minutes break, and then we will continue. Okay. By that time, I'm also going to have a look at few chats. Yeah, Shubh, you have made one query. Can we open that page in our system? Yes, you can simply double click or right click and open in any browser. You can open that thing. Increase the font size. Okay, I'll increase that thing, Shubham. Yeah, DK, if it might be the problem at your internet connection if my voice is not proper, because none of the other students are having this problem. Gohil Sagar. Okay, Sagar, from 9 to 11 this week, you will be having this workshop only. You won't have any other lectures. After 11 o'clock, you will have a regular schedule. So you can contact to your class counselor if you have any other queries. Well, once we are done, I'm going to share this entire code with your CC, and they'll share you. Even I'll share some reference contents. Strong or italic under yes, Bhavdeep, you can use strong or italic inside ABBR tag. It's possible. You can nest any of the tags whatever you want. Okay, all the students, please have a look at the chat box. You will have one form link shared by Hardik sir. Let me share that again. Now that's your attendance form. So I want everyone to fill this form, and it'll have your, just a minute. From that thing only your attendance will be taken. Okay, so please fill this form and your CC will take that attendance. Maybe Abhishek is also asking, what is the main difference between div and span? Look, div is going to create a virtual division in your page, and it is going to cover the entire width, whereas span will cover the width only your content requires. It is not going to display on the new line. Okay. Okay, now another question is how to make online web pages. Now we are doing the same thing. When we create HTML page, it's the web page. Now to make it online, we need to go for hosting. Somewhere we need to host that page, which is accessible from anywhere. So later on, you will see what is hosting and what are the servers. But right now, let us understand how we can create web pages. So we are creating web pages right now. A code tag, Sunny, it's for display your code content. The behavior of code tag is only it is going to change the font, and the semantic meaning is it writes the code you want to display the code. Yeah, sorry. Then another query, what happens if we do not include doc type HTML? Look, there is no effect of doc type HTML. It is just making aware your browser that this is HTML page. That's it. If you don't write doc type HTML, then also your browser is intelligent enough to understand this is the HTML code and it will display that thing properly. But when we are going through internet, we are transferring our file, and somewhere on the other hand, if it is not browser, if it is something else, then it needs the type of your document. Somewhere you have heard MIME type. So this is just a type of our document, and we should define that our document is of HTML type, and that's why we write that first line. That is not HTML tag, it is just the document type definition. Yeah, if we want to color our text, then we will see that in a CSS part. I'll show you how we can change the color of our text. With only HTML, it is not possible. Okay, it is possible using font tag, but that font tag has been deprecated now, and very soon the support of font tag will be removed. So we are not using font tag with color attribute, and that's why what we'll do is when we go for CSS, I'll show you how we can change the color of our font. So many of the color related queries has been solved, right? Yeah, whatever recording we have, we are going to upload this recording, and you will have that YouTube link later on. Yeah, okay. Now everyone, yeah, thank you for your queries. And look, what happens is when I'm going through content, I won't be looking at your queries. So I'll answer your queries at the end with few minutes, 5 or 6 minutes, right? You have your queries listed everywhere, and we'll cover that thing later. Coming back to the content, everyone please fill that Google form. From that only your attendance will be taken by your class counselor. And going back to the content, because at 11 o'clock we need to complete this session, and later you will be going for your normal timetable sessions, right? So coming back to this thing, as I said, let's go for one CV kind of a page, right? That's what we want. So for that, let's create something like this. Let me open that page first, and let me show you what we are going to create. I'm going for a dummy content here, so it's not the thing which we are going to create our own, but I'm going to show you what we will create something like this right now. And your takeaway part is you create your own resume page. That will be your takeaway activity for today. Fine. So what we want is we want this with this text, and that's why I open this page. Let me go to this thing and let us create a new page where we have all these content, and we want to load one image also. Now that's what I want, and let me close this file now, and we are going to create a new page here. Now that will be excuse me, that will be the new HTML code. So we start with doc type HTML, then HTML is the root tag, heading section where we can have a title. So this is my, let's say, resume page. Then we have a body section, body tag, and in that, let's say, we have this entire content. And after this content, what we do is we first complete our body tag. Don't forget to complete your tags properly. And at the end, we complete HTML tag. Let us save this file in the same folder Day1 with, let's say, resume.html. Okay. And now I'm going to load that file. In Day1, we have resume file. We just open it in our browser. And this is what the behavior we have. Right? So by default, whatever text you have, this is how it is being represented on the browser page. But that's not what we want actually. We want to mark all these tags, text, and we want to display those tags properly. At first, I want my image to be loaded. So now we know that we have img tag with source attribute and alt attribute. As alternate text, we can have our name. John Doe is not an actual person, it's just a dummy person name. And we want to load that image. Now where do we have that image? So we have that image in the images folder and user photo. And that thing is, let me verify, that's JPG file. Okay. So we go for relative path images, and within images we have user underscore photo dot JPG file, right? And let us reload this page. So we have that image here. Now right now what we'll do is we'll go for a simple flow top to down. So first we have image, then we have our name, and that's what the heading 1 we want. So that will be h1. Then we have a position or the post. This person is a data analyst, let's say. Then we can go for, this is, let's say, h4. Post is, let me go for, let's say, h4, heading 4 title. Then this is the address. Okay, so we must have address tag for this. So we define address tag here. Now we can keep this email address in a address itself if we want, and let's have some town, then break, new line, Okay, then something like this, and again a break, new line, and then email address. So let us save this much part and refresh this page, and this is what the effect we see. We have img image, then we have h1, this is h4, and this thing is entirely the address. Now after address, that let's say we want to have horizontal rule, so we define it, and let's say this is my header part. Okay, and we define this entire part within the header. So let's have proper indentation. No change on the output, but this is somewhere in the heading section, header element. Now someone said please increase the font size, so let me increase the font size. Where it goes, I don't know. In my editor, border, I don't know, or some short key. Let me identify if that works. Yeah, so I forgot to increase that font size earlier, but let's say this is fine now. Yeah, so we have header, then let's say this is a main section for us, and we start our main section and we close our main section. Now within that main, what we want is we want to go for some sections. So we'll have a section. So like about, I'm going to cover this about as a one section, then my experience in another section, then education qualification in another section, and so on. So what we do is we create few sections here, and we keep our content properly. So about goes inside one section, then experience goes in the second section here, then education goes in the third section, then the technical skills will go in the further section. So this is nothing but simply the structurization of our content. Okay, there is no behavioral change on the page. So if I save and refresh this page, nothing happens, right? Normal text we have. But here what we will do now is we will say that this is my h3 tag, and this goes as a paragraph. So once I complete my paragraph, I'm going to end my p tag here. Now let me also have a word wrap here, so everything will be on the screen. I don't have a horizontal scroll bar. Yeah. So this is the h3 tag, and this one is the paragraph tag. Now in the same section, okay, in the same section, this is the main heading, but this skills include, that is somewhat sub portion, let's say. Then this is not at the level of h3. Let's have this at h4 level. So this is h4, and again I have one paragraph here which will be ended at this place. So starting and ending of p. Now this is one section, and And this is what the continuity we need to follow. All these subheadings will be H3. So for me, this experience will again be H3 starting and ending. And at this place, we haven't seen the unordered list and ordered list today. So let's keep this thing as a paragraph right now. Tomorrow, when we see ordered list and unordered list, then we will create these things as a bullets and all those things, right? So again, this is a paragraph for me, starting and ending, starting one more paragraph, ending that paragraph, again starting that paragraph, and ending that paragraph. So all these things are inside second section. Here again, we make this H3, and all these things will be inside a paragraph. Okay. Technical skills will be H3. And these things will be again a paragraph. Yep. Let me have proper indentation. And save this file. So finally, let us refresh this page. Well, this is what we have created right now. We have an image. We have H1 person name, H4 maybe post, then the address tag we have used here, and then with some headings we have other texts. And wherever you want, let's say you want to strong or you want to bold this thing, the company name, and you want to emphasize on these years, so we can use those tags here as our, let's say in a company tag, in experience company name, I want to have strong behavior, so we can embed strong tag like this way. Another company, and complete your tag. Then we want to emphasize this year, so maybe EM tag on these years wherever we are defining. So when you refresh this page, this is what happens. Your company is bold and your year is italic, and so on, right? So that's how we create our entire CV page. Now we can have this divisions wherever on every section. If we want, we can create horizontal rule at the end of our section. So after I complete my section 1, then another section after this section, and at the end of this section, and we have that divider, right? Now for example, let's have a look at few more attributes here. Let's say you do not want to have this end-to-end division on the entire width. You don't want to cover this divider with entire width. Well, in that case, what you can do is you can have its width attribute as a 50%, let's say. Then in my header, whatever horizontal rule I have created, that will be the 50% width. Okay. Default alignment is center for this. If you want, you can change the alignment of that horizontal rule. Default is center, but if I make it left, then it aligns on the left side, 50% width. We can also go for right alignment with horizontal rule, and it goes on the right side. So depending on your need or requirement, for example, I want it to be 80% and let's say left aligned, then I can keep it like this way, and I can use this thing anywhere in my page, the same code. So all my horizontal rules will be 80% width now. Okay, so that's one thing. Few more attributes we have seen with horizontal rule. Now if you want to increase the size of this horizontal rule, then there is a size attribute which defines the thickness of your horizontal rule. So let's say if I say that this will be 10 pixel size, then that increases the size of that horizontal rule. Now let's also apply the color of this horizontal rule, then you will see what exactly the size is, right? So this is the size. Now if I increase the size 5 pixel more, then the thickness of my horizontal rule will increase. So size is another attribute. Color is also one attribute. Now there are around 127 or 123 color names supported by HTML. So like red, blue, green, cyan, and all those color names are being supported by HTML. But if you want to go for other color, right, color shadings and all those things, then what you can do is you can define your color with a color code, hex color code. And to write it, you need to have a # hash sign, and then there will be 6 digits. Okay, there will be 6 digits. Now from these 6 digits, first 2 digit will define the intensity of red, next 2 digit will define the intensity of green color, and the last 2 digit will define the intensity of blue color. So it's RGB. Okay, it's RGB hex code. By mixing these red, green, and blue colors, you can generate any of the color you want. Okay, so if I look, this is hex, so the digits will be from 0 to 9, A to F, and based on that thing, intensity of your color will be defined. So let's check out what is 1 to 6 this color. When I refresh, it's something like a dark navy blue color. But as you can see, if I write 0 here, so there is nothing or no intensity of any of the color, then it is a full darkness, so it will be black. It is full black. 0 means nothing, and F is a full intensity, full brightness, so this becomes white. Okay, so there is your horizontal rule, but it is not being it cannot be seen right now because it is merged with the background color. So 0 is black, F is white, and from 0 to F, when you have a proper transition, then it will be from black to white. Somewhere in between you will have gray color also. So let's say 9 will have a gray color. Even you can increase or decrease the intensity of gray. So 9 is somewhat darker. D will be lighter than this gray color. Okay, and some other color code. Let's say 3F 552B. I don't know what color will be, but let's take it out. So it's near to dark green kind of thing, right? Now you can search on internet color code, and you will have plenty of websites for you to discover the colors and its color code. We'll be working with these color codes and other ways of defining colors in CSS. Okay, so later we will also discuss what is this hex code and what is RGB and all those things in CSS part. Well, so just to leave you right now here with something, this is what we have created, a kind of a resume page, HTML page, and that's what I say, that you create your own CV page, HTML page, like this way. Tomorrow, when we go for other tags and structural content, we will make few changes in this page also. What I plan for tomorrow is we'll see list, ordered list, unordered list, and all those. Then we will see table, and we will also see forms, HTML forms tomorrow. Now, before we conclude this session, we have very few minutes. Let me quickly go through some content or chats if someone has written anything. Yeah, around H1 I have covered. Yeah. So if you want to change the image position, one way is you may go for table, and then in your table at a particular place, you load your image. Or other way is you go for CSS. So when we go for CSS, we'll have plenty of control on our content, and at that time we will see how we can change the entire position of any element, right? With CSS, that is more easily possible. Google links, what Google link, I don't know, Hardik, that you are talking about. Yeah, to make it responsive, up to some extent, if you want to make it responsive, you can go for percentage wise. Width you can define in a percentage, so it makes it responsive. But that is not a fully responsive. If you want to create your page responsive, then you need to write CSS code there. And we will see media queries with CSS to understand how we can make our entire page responsive. Okay, that's for, I think, Shreya. For resume code, look, I'm not going to give you this entire code right now, otherwise many of the students will directly copy and paste this thing. And the content that I'm displaying on the page right now, it's a dummy content, just dummy resume content. What I want is you go for your own your own CV page, your actual content. You might not have experience, but you will have educational qualification details. Yeah, Sagar, thank you for your short key. I found it. Yeah, jumping to starting and ending of the paragraph, please make use of short keys in a keyboard, right? Shift the name right after the photo. Yeah, that will do tomorrow with table. Okay, Pranjul. Table format, for that we need to learn table tag first. So tomorrow we will start with the table tag, and we'll understand all those things, how we can create table in our page. Section is nothing but one kind of behavioral. It's just a semantic meaning it's a section. It does not have any behavior, default behavior. It just creates a section of your content. Yeah, definitely everyone need to practice, and then only you will find of your code writing skills and making use of number of tags in your page. So that's what I say, that you go for basic practice of HTML code today. Someone has given, maybe Sumant has given CSS code to make that color red, but we will see that H1 color red kind of code in CSS, not today. Okay. Okay, so well, it's time. Thank you, everyone, and thank you once again to join this session here. Hope to see you tomorrow, same time, same session, 9 to 11. And in tomorrow's session, we will see a few more tags and forms, elements, and all those things. Thank you, everyone. You may leave this meeting now. Thank you.